we're streaming.
I don't know.
Awesome. Hello.
All right.
Here we go.
Get Jay in here. All right. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome. It's November.
Yes, it's
November
the day after
1st.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween for everyone who participated. This is Actifio On-Tech, and this week I'm back. So I was away for a couple weeks, enjoying a nice little vacation. Jay's here, and we have a new person here. So our latest new hire in marketing. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Rachel, and I'm very honored to be welcomed onto this show. We're going to talk about Google and iRobots.
And Jason has some things too. That was just the two that I had, but Jason's got some other ones.
Rachel, what do you do at Actifio?
Right now, I am doing the events with Erica and kind of just getting a grasp of everything and going to take it from there.
Yeah. She's 2 weeks in, I believe, right?
This is my first almost full week in the office,
Yeah.
so.
She started with a bang last week at
Oracle
Oracle
Bang.
Open World.
Right, so
yes.
Shipped me right up to San Fran.
yeah, a little
Yes.
plug. We were at
It's the
Oracle
best
Open
way to
World
do it.
last week. Larry, the database bear,
Was there?
Was,
I was there.
ripped it
Rachel
up.
was there.
I sure was.
Yeah.
I
Very
got to
exciting.
wear Larry.
and I heard it was a good show.
It was good times.
Nice.
Good times for sure. So, Jason,
Awesome.
why don't you tell us about what we have this week? Oh,
Yeah.
and I would just mention we have candy because, well, it's Halloween, so of course
Exactly.
you got to have candy.
Right, Jay, do you know what season it is?
Fall?
It's stout season.
Ah, yes.
It's stout season. It's November 1st, so getting into the darker, heavier beers, those, hazy IPAs.
I like those,
Kind
actually.
of over the spring, summer. I drink them year-round, but, it is stout season. So this week, drinking something called Flapjack Nuggets from 450 North Brewing. They're based in Columbus.
Cool.
But not the Columbus, Ohio, that our marketing director, Peter Ross, hates because he's a Michigan guy. That's where our state is.
Oh, my.
But Columbus, Indiana.
Oh.
So if you do not know, there is a Columbus, Indiana.
Very
as
I
nice.
well.
didn't know that.
And this brewery is interesting because they come out with a lot of creative, just artwork on their
Yeah.
labels, and they have this nugget series. So they make IPAs and stouts, and they call them like the nuggets, there's diamond nuggets, platinum nuggets, citra nuggets, etc., etc. So they get very creative with some creative artwork as well. I've had a few of their beers, not too bad. And so we're going to drink this one. It's called Flapjack Nuggets. As I said, you can see the pancakes with the butter and the maple syrup. So as you can understand and figure out, it's a pastry stout with maple syrup, vanilla,
Very nice.
lactose, which is sugar,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, and cinnamon.
Great.
So I'm going to roll this up, flip it over. So why don't you start us off, Jeff?
Why don't you roll? Yeah, while you're rolling, I'll chat. So I was thinking about stories today, and one of the ones that jumped out at me related to Fitbit. So I have to ask.
Fitbit.
Who has a Fitbit?
There.
There,
Fitbit
he has a
charge too.
Fitbit. Do you have a Fitbit?
I don't, but my roommates do. They
No.
live by it.
Perfect. I had a Fitbit before they had the watches, and it kept going through the washing machine, and it died.
Yeah, I
so
had one of the old
set-
ones, too.
Yeah, those little teeny ones like that.
How did you manage to have it go through the washing
Because you
machine?
clip it on your pants,
Oh, I
and you
see.
throw it in the laundry,
Right,
and
forgot
there it
about
is.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, you had like the clip one. I had the old wristband. That
No.
showed, like the 3 dots.
Yeah.
So,
No,
like,
mine was before
You're like,
that
what are these
even.
dots even mean? I don't even
Right.
know.
So Fitbit, if you probably may or may not know, has been buying all kinds of companies that make smartwatches. Anyone ever heard of Pebble? They were a big company on Kickstarter. They had an e-ink one.
I think actually I've heard of them.
Coin, I never heard of that one, and Vector. And so they reported, I know, interesting names, right? They reported their earnings, and their revenue was up 49%.
Thank you.
And they came away as being the number 2 maker of smartwatches behind only Apple in the U.S. Did you know that?
Well, I figured Fitbit was pretty popular, and I didn't expect them to overtake Apple, of course, the behemoth that they are. But
Sure.
I'm just not too surprised that they're number 2.
I feel like, though, I've never thought of Fitbit because of my history as a watch, really. I think of it more as sort of a heartbeat monitor and a step tracker and all that
Definitely.
kind of stuff. So they've clearly made that leap, as you showed. Now, is yours technically a watch, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it tells the time, it tells the date.
I think my kids have that one, too. It's pretty cool.
Anything else on there? Or is it just time, date? And
No,
then-
I mean, it does time,
Right.
date, number of steps, number
Yeah.
of miles, number of stairs, number of minutes active, number of steps you've walked in an hour, your heartbeat. It's got a heartbeat monitor. It has a stopwatch. It has
But
like
no messages from your phone.
no.
None of
not,
that, like-
not this version.
There is some that do, I think.
There are no? Yeah.
There
Yeah, there
are
are.
other ones that do. Garmin has ones
Yeah,
that do that.
yeah.
And I think maybe I know that the Charge 3 was just announced.
Right.
And there's like bigger versions.
Right,
of this.
right, right.
This is more of a compact version that may have some of that stuff, but I don't know.
Who knows?
One of my roommates would always wear her Fitbit, and it was the way to get her out and going because it would tell her how many steps she had.
Well, exactly.
She would do all of our errands for us because
Yes.
Yeah, I
Fitbit
agree.
would talk to her.
I reached
so.
a point where I was so obsessed with my Fitbit that I'd get home at night and be like, oh, I have 970 steps. And my wife would say, well, okay. And I'd be, getting ready for bed. I'd be walking around the room in circle to get those final 30 steps so I could hit my, goal of 10,000 steps or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It seems a little pointless.
Guilty as charged. I've done that before.
Oh, I'd wake up and I'd see her pacing up and down the hall, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's like 12:30.
Totally.
Go to bed.
Nice.
But it works.
Should we try the stout?
try it.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Good.
Welcome.
Cheers. Welcome.
Thank you. Not in with the cup yet.
Only special people get the
Circle of
Treehouse
Trust
Actifio
here.
glass.
This is really
Wow.
good. It actually tastes
You can taste the
like
maple
a
syrup.
pancake.
You really can taste it. It's pretty good.
I like it.
I do like that.
Yeah,
Sweet.
It's good.
A little goes a long way, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. A little vanilla on the nose, a little cinnamon on the taste buds. I like it. It's good.
So what have you got for us, Jason? What was?
So the first thing I saw, which I'm sure everyone saw, and probably folks on here, was that IBM bought Red Hat.
Yes.
For a cool 34 bill.
Yeah.
Right? No big deal, right? Just throwing money around. And I was kind of surprised by this, not only the fact of the high number that it is, 34 billion, but also why does IBM need a product that is given away for free?
Well, but the interesting thing about the Red Hat model is that while the underlying product is free, meaning, and it's not Red Hat, you can buy, was it Core OS? I forget the name of it, but there's the version, CentOS, thank you, CentOS.
Yep.
But, if you're an enterprise and you want to use this, you need support, like real support.
Services. Yeah.
And services, a good point, and all that. And so Red Hat's thing is, we'll provide all the enterprise services so you as an enterprise can buy this sort of open source stuff, but if you have a problem, you have somewhere to call. And so that we'll fix it for you, or if you have a more complex implementation, will help.
I agree. But doesn't IBM have a pretty robust services and support organization?
It does, but you wonder about the depth and scope of that knowledge base with Red Hat, meaning these are actually people who are developing the language too. And certainly IBM has their own languages and AIX and such, but I think the interesting thing about that is that Red Hat is such a dominant player in this market that it's like a really big deal.
Well, I agree. In the open source software, we saw IBM trying to come out with Apache, and it kind of fell on his face.
Right.
And so I guess getting into it with Red Hat could be, but for $34 billion?
That's a lot of money, I know.
Did we even know what Red Hat's revenue was? Have they
I don't. It's a public company,
numbers?
but I didn't look it up prior to this.
I have no
I
idea
should've.
either. I mean, it's hard to fathom that amount of money will be recouped in any kind of short-term period at all. It's definitely a long-term play. I think the integration of it will be interesting as well, too, because we talked about this before. Will it operate as kind of an EMC and VMware relationship, where it's a standalone, or will they actually try and integrate it into IBM and get their services and support teams, selling those services, working on those services, and being educated on the open source software market? So it's interesting to see where it will go from here. Obviously, eye-popping number, very interesting, and probably not on anyone's radar either. No one saw this coming. So I guess we'll see how it goes.
Well, one interesting thing I feel like is that IBM, historically was always thought of as a hardware company, right? Like mainframes and storage and all this stuff. And while they still sell a bunch of hardware, they've had a lot of focus on the cloud and on, services. And certainly going the Red Hat route certainly helps really drive the services and the cloud angle, because Red Hat is sort of one of the default OSs in cloud environments. So, that really helps jumpstart that business in kind of a big way.
That is a good point. I agree with that for sure.
So, what do you think? Any thoughts from your neck of the woods?
I mean, when I heard about that and I saw everyone's reaction here, 35 billion is a lot, and I do agree that will be interesting to see how they're able to come back and make revenue off that.
I agree.
The cool thing is that they're local. They're Massachusetts companies. Gotta love that, right?
West
You like
Virginia.
that? Yeah, exactly.
Right down
near.
the street.
Exactly.
Right from
Not far from me.
Yeah.
So the next one I have is: do any of you guys have an iRobot vacuum?
Okay, this is another thing that we've been trying to invest in, but I think I'm like, we have such a small apartment. Is it worth it?
I know. Well, the idea is cool. Not having a vacuum again is pretty cool, but I don't know how well it works or
Well,
whatever.
my wife just bought one for Christmas.
Oh, sweet.
It works okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I
With your cat shedding or whatever, does it help?
I guess. It's more, honestly, we bought it more for the kitchen because of the crumbs, because I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and food gets everywhere. Like, it's amazing. You know, we got crumbs on the floor, we got crumbs under the island of our,
Yep.
you know, in our kitchen, and so I think she bought it more for that. Yes, it does help pick up cat fur. But we're all hardwood floors in our house
Yep.
anyway.
Yep.
But it's more noticeable with the crumbs. And
Right.
sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. You know, it depends on its mood, it seems like. But also, like, we didn't buy the more expensive one that actually will map out the room and
right.
know where to go. This one kind of just goes all over the place, and it's like,
Gotcha.
you know,
When I
sometimes it's good,
Think
sometimes
of
it
those.
isn't.
I think of like the cats sitting on them. Going
That's
for a
true.
Those
ride.
videos, not
I
gonna
know.
lie.
Has
My
that-
cats will just sit in a chair and just watch it, and like, you know.
So I have a floor vacuum with an inexhaustible power supply, otherwise known as my dog. And he
Yep.
will eat absolutely anything that falls on the floor and will be happy about it, including this weekend I happened to drop a raw lime and he happily consumed that.
Wow.
So he
did?
Yes,
No filter.
surprising. I know. That's all right.
What type of dog is he?
He's a yellow lab,
Yellow
and
lab.
so he's a sweet
That
guy,
explains
but
that.
he is ruled by his stomach.
That,
Yep.
see how that could happen.
But back to my thing. So iRobot, right? Pretty cool. And as you mentioned, it's got this sort of smart mapping functionality.
Yes.
Well, the news as of yesterday was that they're partnering with Google, and they'll send some of these smart mapping information to Google to help map houses. Now, the theory behind this is that it will make sort of smarter homes, because then somehow Alexa will. Sorry, that's not Alexa. That's Amazon. Somehow, you know, the Google Assistant will somehow know through this where your lights are. It's kind of confusing, and it feels a little Big Brother-ish
Well,
to
my
me.
first thought is, what could go wrong?
I know.
Right? Oh, Google has a map layout of your house.
I know.
And it's also plugged into your security system. It's
Right.
also plugged into everything else. And now it's like, oh, what if someone hacks that? Oh,
Right.
well, you know, Jennifer Lopez with her iRobot now has a map of her house in some database that a hacker has now, and they can break in.
Very
you know,
true.
so
I'm not buying it.
I'm not
Yeah.
sold
I think
either.
That's pretty sketchy.
My wife obsesses about dog hair because sadly my dog sheds a lot because,
Right.
well, he's
Yellow
a big
lab,
furry
yeah.
guy.
That does that.
But I'm not sold that these things will even work that well. I
Well,
don't
mean,
know.
you could buy one that doesn't have this technology.
Yeah,
It's just
true.
like ours. Like I said, the one I have is
Right.
not fancy, has no internet connection. It just goes around the house.
Right.
And that could be more suitable for you and your situation and your
And-
wife's preference as well. But I'm not buying this either. You know, we've talked relentlessly on this program about
Right.
how I am like
I
anti-Alexa,
know.
anti-Big
Oh, even
Brother.
Alexa.
Oh, yeah, we don't have any of that stuff
Really?
in the house, no. Just because you don't know what it's listening, what it's recording.
We'll
what
be
it's keeping.
talking, and I see her light up, and I'm like, she'll say, "Sorry, I didn't understand you." I'm like, nothing about that.
She's
came
feeling
up."
left out. She's
She
feeling
is.
very
She
left
wants to
out
be
in your
a part of it.
conversation. All right, Jason.
The second thing I had was around this company in New York City. It's a community-based workplace company called WeWork, I believe
Yeah,
it's called.
yep.
And what they basically do is they provide common spaces for people to rent out to work. And they actually promote their brand with this policy of unlimited beer in their offices.
Really?
So there's a WeWork office, a bunch of different companies work there, and it's a beer with a keg, and it's unlimited beer.
I keep thinking your same
and-
question. What could possibly go wrong with that? But keep going.
Exactly, and that's what happened. Things have gone wrong. There's been some
boy.
inappropriate behavior. There's been
Shocking.
sexual allegations.
Totally.
Right?
Or even car. I mean, go and drive or something. You could be drunk. I mean, that's
exactly.
terrible.
So they've kind of realized that maybe this unlimited beer policy isn't the best thing. And so what they've done is they've set a cap. There's a limit now, 4 beers per day per person.
How do they measure that, though?
Well, apparently at the keg there's a swipe card.
Oh, I see.
And so you have to
So you
swipe
gotta
your card, and it will
Come
now
on.
record how many you've had per day and limit your intake.
Huh.
wow.
Yeah.
People
That
doing
talk about
fake
Big Brother.
things.
You know.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm surprised that. Well, I'm not surprised that the unlimited beer policy was abused, because that's human nature.
Right.
You give too much of a good thing,
Right.
it's abused, but I am impressed that they actually have stepped back a little bit and have a thing in place that will actually help reinforce and enforce this. Now, it doesn't say someone can just take someone else's card and swipe, right?
yeah.
Of course, there's ways around it as always.
Sure.
But at least they're recognizing that something that they have introduced could be problematic, and therefore at least putting some
Give
restrictions.
them credit.
on it.
It's
Yeah.
interesting.
So I thought that was an interesting way of using not only tech to limit something, but also it was also used as a way to get business.
Sure.
Definitely.
Definitely.
So
How long did that last for? The whole unlimited beer
good
thing?
question. I don't know how long it's been in effect for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's one
But
way to pull
it's been
people
popular
in.
because WeWork is the largest community-based workplace company offering in the world. So they've been pretty successful. So, yeah.
Doing it somehow.
Yeah.
Beer.
I thought it was appropriate as we do
Yes.
talk about tech and beer. So
There you go.
I'd bring it up.
Well, I think that's it for today. Actifio On-Tech for November 1st. Also noticed that we have, actually started last week or 2 weeks ago, a new camera. Hopefully people recognize we're broadcasting in
Are we in HD?
720p now.
We're in HD now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're,
Can see
you
That
know.
could be scary for our audience.
I know. Well, then we could try to up it to 4K at some point. We're not there yet, but we could. We've got it. The camera can do it. So,
Yeah. So thoughts on the beer?
I think it's actually really good.
I really like it too.
I'm
too.
open to trying different beers, but this is like breakfast.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Thumbs
lie.
up.
This is a little bit older beer. I've probably had it since the
The 80s.
summer. No. Since the summer. So it was probably brewed in like July-ish, but it's been in the fridge and it's held up really well. I still get the various adjuncts in here. So
delicious.
Yeah,
good job,
it's really
450
good.
North. Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
thanks for
Cool.
having me, guys.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you
Rachel.
for joining the
Thanks,
team.
everyone, for
I
joining.
love you.
Yeah, cheers
Yeah,
to you.
cheers.
Cheers.
To our newest
guys.
employee.
There we
Yeah,
go.
Thank you very much.
And now I have to get up because we're missing our producer,
Yeah.
so I have to take over for him because he's
Gio-
slacking off.
Gio's too cool this weekend to work
Yes,
from home
exactly.
2 days. So, cheers everyone, and we will see you next week.
Next week, it's a week